Have you ever pulled leftovers out of the fridge, popped them into the microwave, and felt like you were doing yourself a favor with a quick, healthy meal? The truth is, what seems harmless may actually carry hidden risks. Some reheated foods can quietly harm your body, raising the chances of cancer, digestive troubles, and even damage to your brain. In this story, we're going to explore 5 common foods that doctors and nutrition experts strongly warn against reheating. On the surface, these dishes may seem perfectly safe, even healthy, but science has revealed that the reheating process can actually turn them toxic. By the end, you'll know not only which foods to avoid reheating, but also why they change, with reasons backed by medical research. These insights can help you make smarter choices in your kitchen and protect your health for the long run. So let's dive in. Spinach is the first culprit, and it might surprise you because it's often praised as a nutritional superstar. From smoothies and stir-fries to lasagnas and salads, spinach shows up everywhere in our diets. It's loaded with vitamins A, C, and K, rich in iron, and packed with antioxidants. No wonder health-conscious people swear by it. But here's the catch. When spinach is cooked, stored, and later reheated, especially at high heat or in the microwave, it can quietly shift from being a superfood to a potential health risk. The reason lies in its naturally high nitrate content. Normally, nitrates are beneficial. They improve blood flow, lower blood pressure, and even boost stamina during exercise. The problem starts when those nitrates undergo chemical changes. Studies, including those published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, explain that once spinach has been cooked, left sitting, particularly in the fridge for more than a short while, and then reheated, nitrates convert into nitrites. From there, nitrites can transform into nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are the real danger. Both the World Health Organization and the National Cancer Institute have linked them to a higher risk of cancer, particularly cancers of the stomach and colon. Newer research is also pointing to a connection between nitrosamines and neurological damage, suggesting they may contribute to memory decline and even play a role in neurodegenerative diseases over time. The unsettling part is that you can't see or taste this change. The spinach looks and smells fine, but the transformation from nitrates to nitrosamines happens silently. That's why this is especially concerning for older adults. As we age, our bodies repair and detoxify less efficiently. What might barely affect us in our 20s or 30s can have much more serious consequences in our 60s or 70s, especially for sensitive systems like the brain and nervous system. In fact, long-term, low-level nitrosamine exposure has been tied to inflammation, a key factor in cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease, according to research in neurology journals. Picture a simple example. You make a big pot of spinach soup on Sunday, planning to eat it throughout the week. By Tuesday, you warm up a bowl in the microwave. The soup tastes just fine, but during storage and reheating, nitrosamines may have formed. If you repeat this habit over months or years, these compounds can slowly accumulate, quietly increasing long-term risks. Now, that doesn't mean you should swear off spinach completely. On the contrary, fresh spinach remains one of the best foods you can eat. The key is in how you prepare and store it. Whenever possible, eat spinach fresh or lightly cooked. If you do have leftovers, enjoy them cold, like in a salad or a chilled soup, rather than reheating them. If reheating can't be avoided, use gentle heat on the stovetop instead of blasting it in the microwave, and try not to reheat the same dish multiple times. Most importantly, store spinach dishes quickly in the fridge and finish them within a day or 2. Small adjustments like these keep spinach as a health ally instead of turning it into a hidden threat. Knowledge is power, and with just a few smarter choices, you can continue to enjoy this nutrient-rich leafy green while keeping your body and brain protected. Now, think about how empowering it feels when you start weaving small, protective habits into your daily cooking routine. Suddenly, your meals aren't just tasty, they're also safer and more nourishing. Take potatoes, for example. This humble root has long been a comfort food across nearly every culture, loved for its affordability, versatility, and that hearty, satisfying bite. From creamy mashed potatoes with butter, to golden roasted wedges with herbs, to fluffy baked spuds with crispy skins, or even simmered in rich stews, potatoes hold a special place on dinner tables worldwide. But here's the catch. A hidden danger can creep in when potatoes are cooked, cooled, stored, and then reheated, a practice that happens in many kitchens without a second thought. What seems like a harmless routine can actually cause changes in their structure that carry potential health risks, especially if the process isn't handled correctly. Freshly cooked potatoes are easy on the digestive system because their starches soften into a form our bodies break down quickly. The trouble begins after those same potatoes cool, particularly if they're left sitting at room temperature too long or stored in the fridge for several days. During cooling, the starches harden again in a process called retrogradation, turning into what's known as resistant starch. Now, in moderation, resistant starch isn't all bad. In fact, it can benefit your gut, acting like a prebiotic and even helping to steady blood sugar levels, as noted in the Journal of Nutrition. The problem starts when those cooled potatoes are reheated, especially at high temperatures, like in the microwave. Under the wrong conditions, potatoes can become a breeding ground for dangerous bacteria, most notably Clostridium botulinum, the same bacterium that causes botulism. The risk skyrockets if potatoes are cooked, wrapped in foil, and then left to cool slowly at room temperature before refrigeration. That foil creates a low oxygen environment that bacteria love. Even if your leftovers look fine and smell perfectly normal, this bacterium can still produce invisible, odorless toxins powerful enough to cause severe illness. Symptoms may include nausea, dizziness, or worse, neurological complications. This becomes even more concerning for older adults. As we age, our immune systems weaken and our digestion becomes less efficient, which means our bodies struggle to process bacterial toxins as effectively as before. Medical research also emphasizes the deep connection between gut health and brain health. Chronic inflammation triggered by harmful bacteria or toxins in the digestive tract has been tied to higher risks of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, as explained in Frontiers in Neuroscience. So, something as routine as reheating leftover potatoes could, over time, contribute to systemic inflammation that slowly undermines both body and mind. Picture this. You bake a batch of potatoes for dinner, wrap the extras in foil, and pop them in the fridge. A couple of days later, you toss one into the microwave for a quick side dish. Seems harmless, right? Yet, this simple habit might be exposing your body to tiny doses of toxins, and if repeated regularly, those exposures can add up over time. The good news? There are easy ways to enjoy potatoes safely. Try to cook only the amount you plan to eat fresh. If you do store leftovers, cool them quickly and transfer them into airtight containers. Skip the foil before refrigerating. When reheating, use the oven or stovetop for steady, even heat and avoid reheating more than once. And if those potatoes have been sitting in the fridge for longer than a couple of days, or show even the slightest sign of spoilage, it's best to play it safe and toss them out. Handled properly, potatoes remain one of the most nourishing, versatile foods you can put on your plate. For older adults especially, being mindful about storage and reheating isn't just a minor kitchen detail. It can help preserve your energy, protect your memory, and support your long-term health. Even these small shifts can make a huge difference over time. And imagine the sense of reassurance that comes from joining a community where people trade simple, science-backed kitchen tips to keep meals both safe and wholesome. Wouldn't that be invaluable? Now let's move to another kitchen staple, eggs. In American households, eggs are practically essential. They're affordable, easy to prepare, and packed with high-quality nutrients. Scrambled for a quick breakfast, hard-boiled for a convenient snack, or baked into quiches and casseroles, eggs bring both flavor and nourishment to countless meals. They're especially valued for their choline content, which supports brain function, and their top-notch protein, which helps preserve muscle strength as we age. But here's where it gets tricky. A surprisingly common practice, reheating cooked eggs, particularly in the microwave or at very high heat, can shift this otherwise wholesome food into something with hidden risks. You see, when eggs are first cooked, Their proteins go through a natural process called denaturation. The proteins unfold and then reorganize into structures our bodies can digest easily, which is both normal and beneficial. However, once those same eggs are reheated, especially when exposed to uneven or intense heat, additional chemical changes take place, subtly affecting both their nutritional value and safety. Two main concerns stand out: the breakdown of sulfur compounds and the oxidation of cholesterol. The sulfur compounds that naturally exist in eggs can degrade when reheated, resulting in that rubbery texture and the familiar sulfur-like smell. Even more concerning is what happens to the yolk's cholesterol. Reheating can convert cholesterol into compounds called oxysterols, which research has linked to increased inflammation, particularly in cardiovascular disease. According to the Journal of Lipid Research, chronic inflammation caused by these compounds may also play a role in memory decline and neurodegenerative conditions like dementia. Nature Reviews Neurology further notes that older adults are especially susceptible because their bodies metabolize fats less efficiently, arteries lose some of their flexibility, and the brain becomes more sensitive to inflammatory stress. Picture this scenario: you boil a batch of eggs on Sunday to last the week. By Wednesday, you pop one into the microwave for a quick snack. It seems like a healthy, protein-packed option, right? Yet, even in this simple act, the proteins have already toughened, and the yolk's cholesterol has started oxidizing. Over time, repeated exposure to these compounds may quietly contribute to systemic inflammation and long-term health risks. The simplest solution is to enjoy eggs fresh or shortly after cooking. If you prepare them in advance, keep them cold. Think egg salads, sandwiches, or as a chilled snack, rather than reheating. When reheating is unavoidable, use gentle, low heat on the stovetop and never reheat the same eggs multiple times. Always store cooked eggs promptly in the refrigerator and consume them within a few days. And if anything looks off or smells unusual, toss it. With careful handling, eggs remain an incredibly nutrient-dense food. These seemingly minor choices, whether about reheating, storing, or eating them cold, can build up over time into meaningful benefits, supporting energy, mental clarity, and overall well-being. Now, let's talk about chicken, a staple in countless kitchens, loved for its versatility, affordability, and reputation as a lean, healthy protein. Whether grilled, roasted, or baked, chicken is often the go-to for families, athletes, and anyone aiming for balanced nutrition. Many people cook it in batches, storing portions in the fridge to reheat later during the week. On the surface, this seems convenient and harmless. But there's a hidden risk. Reheating chicken, especially in the microwave or at very high temperatures, can subtly change its structure in ways that may promote inflammation, strain digestion, and even create long-term health concerns. When chicken is freshly cooked, heat denatures its proteins, making them easier for your digestive system to break down. Reheating, particularly unevenly as often happens in microwaves, triggers a second transformation. The proteins become tougher, more rigid, and harder for the body to digest. Younger people may barely notice a difference. But as we age, production of digestive enzymes and stomach acid naturally declines. Foods that once caused no discomfort can now leave you bloated, sluggish, or uneasy, often without realizing that reheating was the culprit. The concern goes beyond digestion. Reheating chicken can also form compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGAs. These occur when proteins and fats are repeatedly exposed to high heat. AGAs aren't harmless. They've been linked to chronic, low-level inflammation, which research now recognizes as a major driver of heart disease, insulin resistance, Alzheimer's, and other forms of dementia. To visualize this, imagine roasting chicken breasts on Sunday, storing them in the fridge, and microwaving a portion on Tuesday for lunch. The meat might taste slightly rubbery or different, which seems minor, but that texture change reflects deeper chemical alterations. The proteins have been damaged by reheating, making the chicken less digestible and introducing compounds that place extra stress on the body. Over time, repeatedly stressing your body with reheated foods can quietly fuel inflammation, gradually wearing down your resilience. For older adults already managing conditions like arthritis, high blood pressure, or brain fog, this hidden burden can amplify existing challenges, leaving you feeling lower in energy and mental clarity day by day. So, what can you do? First, if reheating is unavoidable, choose gentle methods such as low heat on the stovetop or a warm oven to reduce chemical changes. Even better, use leftover chicken in cold preparations, salads, wraps, or sandwiches, avoiding reheating entirely. Another smart approach is to cook smaller portions, so you can enjoy fresh chicken without having to store large amounts. The bigger lesson here is that the way we prepare food matters just as much as what we choose to eat. Chicken is undeniably a healthy option, but handling it thoughtfully ensures it stays a supportive ally instead of becoming a hidden risk. As we age, these small adjustments, opting for gentle reheating or cold dishes, become powerful strategies for protecting long-term vitality. Imagine incorporating these habits into your routine to keep your meals both delicious and nourishing. Doesn't that feel like a simple yet meaningful step? Mushrooms, too, are celebrated for their earthy flavor, satisfying texture, and impressive nutrition. Loaded with antioxidants, fiber, B vitamins, and immune-supporting compounds like beta-glucans, they enhance countless dishes. Whether sautéed into stir-fries, folded into omelets, or simmered in soups, mushrooms are praised for boosting heart health, immunity, and even potentially lowering cancer risk. But here's the hidden catch: mushrooms are surprisingly sensitive to reheating. This isn't just about taste or texture, it can also affect how your body handles them. Unlike many vegetables, mushrooms have a delicate balance of proteins, enzymes, and fats. Cooked fresh, these components break down in a controlled way, releasing flavor and unlocking nutrients. Reheating, especially repeatedly or at high heat, disrupts this balance. The proteins and enzymes become harder to digest, potentially leaving you bloated, sluggish, or uncomfortable. For older adults with slower digestion, the effects are even more pronounced. The risk goes deeper. Mushrooms stored improperly, say, in a plastic container that traps moisture, can oxidize during reheating, forming compounds that contribute to oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is a key factor in aging, linked to chronic inflammation, heart disease, cognitive decline, and weakened immunity. Studies show that oxidized compounds in foods add to this burden, forcing the body to work harder to maintain balance. Imagine this: you make a creamy mushroom risotto for dinner, packed with oyster and cremini mushrooms. The next day, you microwave a portion for lunch. Suddenly, the mushrooms are rubbery, watery, or slightly slimy. Their flavor feels dull compared to yesterday.
These changes aren't just disappointing, they indicate chemical breakdown, with proteins and fats transforming into compounds that your body struggles to process. For older adults already dealing with digestion or immune challenges, this subtle shift can worsen fatigue, brain fog, and irregular digestion. So, how do you reduce the risk? First, store mushrooms properly. Use a sealed glass container in the fridge to prevent moisture buildup. When reheating, do it gently on the stovetop at low heat, not in the microwave. Even better, enjoy leftover mushrooms cold in salads with olive oil and herbs where their flavor and nutrients remain intact. Ideally, cook only what you plan to eat in one sitting to avoid leftovers altogether. The takeaway is clear: small choices around food preparation have long-term consequences. Skipping reheated mushrooms may seem minor, but it's one less stressor on your system. By paying attention to storage and cooking methods, mushrooms can remain a true ally for vitality rather than a hidden source of strain. These mindful decisions, meal by meal, help you stay lighter, sharper, and stronger as the years go by. As we wrap up, take a moment to reflect. What stood out to you most? Was it the hidden dangers in spinach, the bacterial risks in potatoes, or the subtle effects of reheated eggs and chicken? Maybe it was how mushrooms can lose their balance when reheated. Share one insight with someone who could benefit from it, because small kitchen changes can create lasting improvements in health and vitality. By making these thoughtful choices, you empower yourself to live each day with more energy, clarity, and strength.